Welcome to the Learning Observation Instrument Overview. This video has been designed to support you as you begin learning about and implementing the Learning Observation Instrument. Don't worry, this is just the beginning. Evaluators and teachers, you can expect and look forward to more extensive and deeper learning on the instrument. But let's proceed now with our overview of the LOI. By the end of this overview, you will be familiar with how to navigate the Learning Observation Instrument. You will also know and understand the various components of the Learning Observation Instrument and how it's used to identify a teacher's proficiency levels. The Learning Observation Instrument, or LOI for short, is a rigorous observation tool that recognizes teaching excellence and supports the professional development of teachers. So for this overview, you'll need a copy, either a physical copy or an electronic copy of the Learning Observation Instrument. A pen or pencil and some sticky notes might also be helpful to support your learning. So let's begin. In this overview, one of our objectives is to identify the components of the Learning Observation Instrument. This includes the rubrics, the rubric purpose statements, and the elements. We will also review the observation settings, the rubric performance levels, and the descriptors. Let's take a look at the individual rubrics. When looking at the cover of the LOI, you will see that the instrument is divided into 6 color-coded rubrics: content, formative assessment, instructional strategies, learner engagement, learning community, and professional responsibilities. The first 5 rubrics are used in a learning observation cycle. The 6th rubric, Professional Responsibilities, is scored at the discretion of each district. Now, looking inside the instrument, you will notice that the title of each rubric is in a shaded gray bar near the top of the page. Go ahead and pause here to tab all 6 rubrics for easy reference. Let's take a look at the rubric purpose statements. Directly under the title is the purpose statement for each of the individual rubrics. That purpose statement describes the intent of the rubric as a whole. It's helpful to begin by reading the purpose statement of the rubric before you examine an individual element. This will help add clarity and frame the intent of the element. Take a moment now to locate and read over the purpose statements for each of the 6 rubrics. Let's move on to the rubric elements. Each rubric contains several elements, which are listed on the left-hand side of the rubric. As an example, on pages 2 and 3, we see there are 4 elements in the content rubric: conceptual understanding, task analysis, connections to content, and content accessibility. Take a look at the formative assessment rubric. It begins on page 4. How many elements do you see? Right. This rubric contains 3 elements: real-time assessment, student progress, and correct level of difficulty. Our next rubric is the instructional strategies rubric on pages 5 through 7 in your LOI. There are 6 elements in the instructional strategies rubric. What are the names of those elements? They are teacher role, instructional approach, practice aligned activity, feedback, monitor and adjust, and analysis of instruction. Now we're on the learner engagement rubric. It's on pages 8 and 9 of your LOI. There are 4 elements in the learner engagement rubric. Next up, on pages 10 and 11, you'll see the learning community rubric. What are the names of the elements in this rubric? Great job. And finally, take a look at the professional responsibilities rubric on pages 12 and 13. Here you will see that there are 5 elements included. And just a reminder, this is the rubric used at the district's discretion. So you may have noticed each element connects to a trio of vertical bars titled pre-conference, observation, and post-conference. These bars indicate the stage during the observation cycle in which the element is scored. In this example, the element's real-time assessment and correct level of difficulty, they're scored during the pre-conference, while student progress is scored during the post-conference. And in this example, connections to content is scored during the classroom observation setting. Task analysis is the only element that is scored in two settings, the pre-conference and the classroom observation. Take a moment now and scan your LOI. See if you can determine the number of elements scored in each of the three settings. So you can see there are 16 elements scored during an observation setting, 4 during the pre-conference and 2 during the post-conference. Remember, this is just an overview, so you will receive more information about how to prepare for pre- and post-conferences at a later date. Let's continue navigating the instrument. Below the purpose statement, you will see a color-coded bar. This bar identifies 6 differentiated performance levels. These levels are numbered 5 to 0 from left to right. Level 3 represents a proficient rating. Now we'll spend some time looking at the element descriptors. Each element has descriptors which outline observable teacher and student actions. Each of these descriptors are aligned to the in-task model core teaching standards. As you look at the descriptors, you will see that they're organized into one or more paragraphs, and the language at each level builds in depth and complexity. In the Learning Observation Instrument, a level 3 for each element is considered proficient. You'll see that indicated here by a triple line, which also shows the relationship that exists between levels 3, 4, and 5. It is important to begin by first thoroughly reading Performance Level 3. This is critical because the teacher needs to first demonstrate all of the descriptor language at a level 3 in order to receive a score of 3 for each of the elements. Likewise, to receive a 4 for a specific element, a teacher needs to demonstrate all of the descriptor language included in level 3 as well as level 4. And in order to receive a 5 for a specific element, a teacher needs to demonstrate all of the descriptor language included in levels 3, 4, and 5. So now that you've had some practice navigating the Learning Observation Instrument, let's recap the 4 important components that will enable you to feel confident in utilizing the instrument. Read the purpose statement to understand the intent of the rubric. Identify a particular element within the rubric. Identify the setting or settings in which the element is scored. And locate the triple line and begin reading at Performance Level 3. Please take some time to review the Learning Observation Instrument. If you are an evaluator, your next step will be to complete the LOI Qualified Evaluator Training. It is important that you understand the LOI, how scoring works, how to navigate the instrument, the different components of the tool. This way you'll feel confident as you begin to implement the Learning Observation Instrument. If you have questions, you can ask your supervisor, or you can bring them to an upcoming training. Teachers, you'll receive a new teacher LOI training, and evaluators, you can look forward to your LOI Qualified Evaluator Training. Professional development to support teachers in improving their effectiveness is key to the LOI. Makisa is happy to provide professional development workshops to further support leaders and teachers in areas of need and interest. Thank you for joining us for this Learning Observation Instrument overview.